self-realization, where we can see our mind through our breath and observing the breath. All the techniques that we are teaching, the 6 gates that you're learning, the 6 gate of counting the breath, the following of the breath, the samatha, the vipassana, the returning, and holding on to the pure dharma. These 6 gates actually are the journey into knowing yourself. Namaste and good morning everyone. We are back again on our Sunya Talks series on Sunday, and as we continue with the 3rd episode of the Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra, we are about to learn something very, very important, and this is an important chapter for all the Shunyatis who have been practicing Shunya, and also a very important chapter for people who want to know why breath counting is so important and how only initial red belt certification, if somebody does, how it can change somebody's life. So as we delve deeper into the Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra, let us first focus our mind and control our thoughts and pay attention to the sutra teaching. So let's start the 3rd episode of the Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra. Just to give you a quick recap, this sutra was originally translated from Sanskrit to Chinese by a famous Persian king called as the Anshigao, and then from Chinese to English by our very beloved Acharya Nagajiv, Dr. Lim. And then in the last few episodes, we studied about in the first chapter, we studied how Buddha was practicing the Anapana, how he actually engaged in 90 days of practicing Anapana, and that's what becomes the basis of this teaching. The authenticity of the sutra comes from the start, where the sutra begins by saying, "Thus have I heard." As we all know that any sutra that starts with "Thus have I heard" is an authentic sutra. That means these are the words of the Buddha himself. Then we studied the next chapter last week, was the chapter on Anapana and Smriti, and we went into understanding what is Ana, what is Apana, and what is Smriti, and how it is very important to know their meaning so that they match along with our practice. Today we are going to study chapter 3, and chapter 3 is about counting of breath and 6 gates. Now in this chapter we are actually going to be introduced to a concept called 6 gates. Very, very important. This has been prevalent for the last 2,500 years in the authentic lineage of teachers who have always taught the practice of Anapana through these understanding of these gates. And this is what we're going to do. So let's start with the chapter 3. The first verse. O monks, there is a sure way to calm down your mind, to remove suffering. That is counting of the breath. Now, here the first sentence says, verse says that there is a sure way to calm down your mind. Many times we ask people to calm down your mind because when they are suffering, we always say, "Don't worry, you calm down your mind." But they don't know how. And that's what here this particular verse is saying very clearly. There is a sure way. He is assuring that this is the guaranteed way that how to calm down your mind, to remove suffering, because only an unstable mind is a mind that suffers. A mind that is calm, stable, is not in a state of suffering. And what is that way? What is that sure way to calm down the mind? It is the counting of the breath. So, when you go to the next verse, here, counting of the breath is to subdue the agitated mind. Now, what are we doing with the counting of the breath? We are actually subduing or calming down an agitated mind. So, we should know now, when we do a reverse count, when we do a forward count, this counting is basically to calm down our agitated mind. Now, whose mind is agitated? Everybody who is engaging the mind is agitated in some way or the other. When he's doing his duty, when he's working, engaging, everything is preceded by a thought. And thoughts actually are the result of an agitated mind. So, a no thought state is where the mind is completely calm. Now, that's not possible. So, we know that at every stage of our life or every stage of our activity, every stage of our duty, we have a mind that is already agitated. So, the counting of the breath is to subdue the agitated mind. So, that is why one needs to know that counting of the breath is the way to subdue the mind. Following the breath can focus on the mind. Now, you have to understand. First is counting the breath to calm down the mind. Second is following the breath to focus the mind. So, following the breath can focus on the mind. So, how can I focus on the mind? Just follow the breath. How do I calm the mind? Just count the breathing. Count your breath. If you count your breath, you can calm the mind. If you follow your breath, you can actually focus on the mind. Samatha is to focus on mind and dharma. Okay. What is samatha? Is to focus on the mind and the dharma. We studied that last chapter also. What is dharma? Everything that will come will actually arise, then it will sustain for some time, then it will decay and then perish. That is dharma. So, samatha is to focus on the mind and the dharma. Vipassana is to free one from the controlling mind. Now, one has to free himself from the controlling. The mind has this habit of controlling things. And how can one free himself from the controlling mind? Is by vipassana. Returning is to come back to the pure dharma stage when the mind goes astray. So, as the word says returning, it is saying that whenever the mind goes astray, the ability to come back and do what you are supposed to do is called returning. Okay, this is also the skill that you need to acquire. Cleansing is to hold the dharma without wavering. And cleansing is to hold the dharma without wavering. Now, if you look at it, these are the 6 gates that I have just introduced you to. Now, what are these 6 gates? These 6 gates, they work one after the other like a lotus blooms to bloom. Now, you cannot say when the lotus blooms, only the outer petal bloom. No, even the inner petals are taking the effort to bloom. So, as the lotus blooms or a flower blooms, all they work together, but the outer one is actually more visible. The inner one has started its journey. So, when you look at these 6 gates, when you start your practice of Sunya, you are assured that all the 6 gates have started to open up. What are these 6 gates? 1, I am able to count the breath and calm the mind. I am able to follow the breath so that I can focus on the mind. I am able to practice samatha so that I can focus on the mind and the dharma. I am able to do vipassana so that I can free myself from the controlling mind. I am able to do the returning. No, go back to the... Okay, vipassana is to free one from the controlling mind. Okay, then I am able to have the skill that whenever my mind goes astray, that I am not able to focus on the count, I am I am missing the count, then I am able to bring back my mind to get back engaged in the act that I am supposed to. This returning, okay, and then when all these 5 gates are working in sync and together, cleansing is automatically done of the mind, and the mind is able to hold on to the pure dharma without wavering. It doesn't get lost. Exactly like if you have to purify gold, you have to take away all the impurities, and the last material that you're left is 100% pure gold. And that is what we are talking about. How do I have a pure state of mind? So I have to go through these 6 gates. Okay, the 5 gates start working and I get the 6th gate opened up. Okay, next slide. So due to people not controlling the activities of their mind, that is why they need to practice these 6 methods or gates. So why should somebody practice these 6 methods or gates? Is because people are not controlling the activities of the mind. Actually, mind is driving all the activities, and people are not able to control the mind itself, and hence the activities are out of control, and man is somehow is not even aware of what he is doing. He is completely lost. So how can a person control the activities of their mind? Is when they practice the 6 gates. And that's exactly what we do in Sunya. We practice on the 6 methods or gate. Oh monks. Okay, next slide. Okay, slowly. Okay. Yeah. Oh monks, why breath counting? It is because the mind is agitated and confused. Breath counting can calm down the mind. The question naturally asks. It's not only you and me asking this question. Imagine 2500 years ago, the same question when Buddha was teaching was posed to him too. What was the question? Why breath counting? Why breath counting? Because remember, initially the first sentence that he started the 3rd chapter with was that there is a sure way to calm down the mind, to remove suffering, and that is through counting of the breath. So why breath counting? It is because the mind is agitated and confused. Breath counting can calm down the mind. Okay? Everybody, show me a person whose mind is not agitated and confused. Everybody is. That is why we need to calm down this agitated and confused mind so that we have a more calm, stable, and a more clear mind. A clear mind can see things very clearly and not go into any kind of engagement that leads them to suffering. Next slide. Why do people not achieve calmness yet? Because they do not know how to count their breath. People do not, why can't everybody just achieve that calmness, which we call Param Shanti? Why is it not possible for everyone? Because they do not know how to count the breath. Okay, next slide. Why do people not achieve Samadhi? Because they do not do away with old habits, do not practice for Nirvana. Why do people, why is it not possible that everybody can achieve Nirvana, Samadhi, a state of complete calmness? Why is it not possible? Because actually everybody is conditioned with old habits, and old habits die hard, as it is said. So we are so much conditioned that we just cannot keep the mind stable, because something of the past is going to drive the stable mind into an unstable state, and hence it's not possible for everybody to achieve Samadhi. And they do not practice for Nirvana. They do not practice for let go. The habit of the mind is to hold on, and they are not training the mind to let go. And without the skill of the mind to let go, one cannot achieve the state of Samadhi. While, next slide, while breathing, we must follow the counting. While following the breath, we focus on the mind. So what do you, while breathing, now again we have to remember the 6 gates, okay? While breathing, we must follow the counting. While following the breath, we focus on the mind. First gate is, when you're breathing, we must follow the counting. That's exactly what we do in 9 to 0, 29 to 0, 99 to 0. We must follow the counting while breathing. So you're actually counting. So with this, you're actually calming down the mind. While following the breath, we focus on the mind. So when you're actually following the breath, in the yellow belt, when you're just following the breath, you're looking at it, okay, then you're focusing on the mind. But technically, you look at in Shunya practice, as I told you, the flower does not bloom one petal at a time. You're practicing all this all together. So when you're doing even the red belt, you have already initiated your even the 5th practice back. Because when I am practicing 9 to 0, when I'm observing the cycles of breath and counting one cycle after the other, I'm actually counting the breath. Because I'm counting the breath, I'm able to calm down my mind. Because I'm paying attention on following the breath, that this is going in and out, I'm also actually focusing on the mind. Then third is I am actually, focusing on the mind, but I'm also, what do you say, focus on the mind and the dharma. I'm looking at the nature of the mind. How is my breath going in and out? So I can see that the breath is coming, it is going, it's born, it is dying. I'm looking at it. So I'm focusing on the nature of the mind also through the breath. Along with that, I'm also doing vipassana. I'm observing, okay, the controlling mind. Hey, my mind is getting lost. I missed the count. So I'm also looking into that. I'm also making sure that when it is getting lost and I know that I missed the count, I'm able to bring it back. And again, I missed on 7, I start from 7 again. I missed on 6, I start from 6 again. I know that. So I'm able to do the returning again. Till the time I achieve the 6th gate, that is that I am able to do 9 to 0 completely. So I'm in that pure stage or a state where I've achieved without distracting the mind all the 5 states. This is what you're practicing even at the early stage. So this is very important. And so for breath, while breathing, we must follow the counting. While following the breath, we must focus on the mind. Focusing, next slide. Focusing or samatha is to enter samadhi. Okay, now when you are focusing or doing samatha, you are actually entering into samadhi. Observing or vipassana is to cleanse the mind and follow the pure practices. So we also understand what is samatha. With samatha, we enter into samadhi. Through vipassana, we clean the mind. And with your entering into samadhi, that's the state of stableness. And with vipassana, observing that the mind is not getting lost or distracted, we are also able to clean the mind. Now, it may not be here, but cleansing is to follow the pure dharma, which is the 8 noble parts. So, we will talk about it later, what is cleansing, okay. Let's go to the next slide. Oh monks. Okay, next slide. Okay. Oh monks, breath counting is 4 establishments of awareness. Following of breath is 4 right exertions and efforts. Okay. Now, what is breath counting? There are 4 establishments of awareness. We will go deeper into these different types of awarenesses and all those things. For now, you should know that breath counting is basically 4 establishments of awareness. You are actually cultivating those 4 establishments of awareness. Following the breath, you are actually going into the 4 right exertions or efforts. Okay. Samatha is, okay, next slide. Samatha is 4 bases of magical, mental, supernatural power. Okay. Gets interesting here because the word magic comes here, but samatha is the 4 bases of magical, mental or supernatural power. Many people use at this stage this particular thing, that if somebody is able to focus on the mind, they can achieve magical results through the mind. This is the state. Vipassana is 5 spiritual faculties, 5 strengths. Okay, we will, as we enter deeper into the MAS, we will study what these different types are. For now, you just understand that all these are actually also bases. Whatever you're practicing, these are bases. These 6 gates also have some bases in which we can see the tangible results of our getting into the gate. Returning is 7 factors of enlightenment. Okay, next slide, Shashank. Returning is 7 factors of enlightenment. Cleansing is noble eightfold path. Okay, so what is returning is 7 factors of enlightenment, because you see, every time if I am able to pull myself back whenever I get lost, it's almost I'm on the factors that I'm cultivating of enlightenment, that I know that I'm going to go astray and I know back how do I come on track. Cleansing is Noble Eightfold Path. That's where your cleansing happens, is when you start understanding and seeing the Noble Eightfold Path. We'll go deeper into that also. So there are in totality 37 Bodhi path. 37 Bodhi path for Anapana Smriti practice. So in totality there are 37 Bodhi path for Anapana Smriti. And how do we know that? Is I just told you right now that we do the 4 establishments of awareness, then 4 right exertions, that's 8, then 4 magical or mental superpower that we can get through samatha, that's 12, then 5 faculties or spiritual faculties that you cultivate through vipassana, that's around 17, 5 strengths, that makes it 23, and then you have the 7 factors of enlightenment, that's almost 30, 29 I think, yeah, and then cleansing is Noble Eightfold Path, that brings us the total of 37. So we will go deeper into that. For now you need to know that there are 37 Bodhi path for Anapana Smriti practice. Next slide. O monks, successful in breath counting, but do not enter into following of breath is not Smriti. Now here in this slide, if you look, we are able to define what is not Smriti. So, what happens is when we start teaching Sunya, the first step when we teach them to follow and do the reverse count, they feel so happy, they feel they have achieved Smriti and they just want to take that away and go away. But they have not even entered the gate, they are just knocking the door of the gates. Okay, so you should be able to understand what is not Smriti, because Maha Anapana Smriti Sutra says that all these together, the Ana, the Apana and Samatha Vipassana all together need to be practiced. Okay, successful, if you are successful in breath counting, you are able to do the breath counting 9 to 0, 29 to 0, 99 to 0, and you think 1 to 10 also you are able to do very nice double count, and you think now the counting is very good. Please understand, if you are not able to enter into your yellow belt, if you are not able to actually follow the breath, okay, then you are basically not yet understanding what Smriti is. You are not practicing Smriti. Success in breath following, you are able to follow the breath, stay there for a long time, but you are not able to focus or do not enter into focusing, then also it is not Smriti. Success in focusing, you are able to focus, that your mind is not getting lost, you are able to focus on the breath, you are following the breath, you are able to count, but you do not enter into observing. Okay, you are not able to observe the nature of the mind and all those things, then you are still not into Smriti. Success in observing, you are able to observe, but do not enter into returning, so that when you are able to observe, but your mind gets lost and you are not able to bring it back, then yet you are not into returning, so that's also not Smriti. Success in returning, you are able to pull up the mind every time it gets lost, but you are not able to hold on to the pure stage for a long time. Okay, you are able to bring back the lost mind. 100 times it goes, you are able to bring it back, but you are not able to hold it in that stage that it doesn't need to go again out and there is no returning needed at all. That means you have not entered into the pure stage, and that means you are not into practicing yet Smriti. So these 5 things you should know, that every stage, your 5 gates, till the 5 gates, you're dependent on it. That means you're still not into Smriti. So let's understand what is Smriti. Next slide. Success in pure stage. Experiencing that pure stage where the mind is not wavering, the mind is calm, it's not getting lost, you're able to do everything properly. You're able to do the 9 to 0, 29 to 0, 99 to 0, your double count, you're able to focus on, follow the breath, you're able to scan your body, you're able to stay there, you're able to maintain that pure stage, that your mind is not needed to be brought back, no returning stage is needed at all. That means you are able to be in a pure stage, and this pure stage you are able to hold it clean and pure. That is Smriti. You are able to hold it pure and clean, and you're able to hold it for a long time, that is Smriti. So understand, Smriti is not just holding on to that. For that 5 gates to be achieved, through that achieving a state of pure and a clean state of mind, that is Smriti. Okay, next slide. After breath counting, bad karma does not arise. Now see, we talk about bad karma and the good karma. Once the mind is agitated, it is out of control. Because it is out of control, every karma that it engages, every work it does is out of control. And that's where the bad karma starts coming in. A conditioned being creates his own conditions. Okay, and person whose conditioning, okay, has happened, he's going to just make the results of all the conditioning to come out. And that bad karma, he'll have to pay a price. And that's the beginning of suffering. Now, a mind that is agitated definitely is out of control. Because it is out of control, the karma is out of control. The out of control karma produces the bad karma. Now, after breath counting, the bad karma does not arise. So, I'm washing away my karma because as soon as I'm able to do the breath counting, the red belt, all my bad karmas are getting washed away because my mind has now become calm. Okay, and is no more agitated. No more bad karma of the past or of the future is going to come because you're able to count, because your mind is never going to be agitated again because you know how to count it. That is why the practice of breath counting is important to prevent the consciousness from chasing after form. Now, here you have to understand, why do we need to have breath counting? So that we are able to prevent the consciousness. Means you see, our sense organs are in search of its sense objects, and that's consciousness is when it wants to chase after things. The eyes, they want to chase after form. The ears want to hear the sound. The nose, fragrance. Tongue, taste. And the skin, touch. And the mind, it needs an object to think. Now, these are 6 corrupted entities. So, when you are able to count your breath, you are able to prevent from the consciousness from chasing like a hungry, you can say, animal chasing after these things. Your 6 senses, which are basically the 6 corrupted entities. We always say the sensory world, the sensual world is very, very fluctuating, is never fixed. It's everything keeps on changing that world. You look at something, the things, and you have something else, it goes there. We cannot fix ourselves in a particular thing. Same with music. If music was good, okay, you loved music, can you play that same tune for a long time? No, you'll get bored with it. You need that variation. So, these 6 corrupted entities are basically the way through which the consciousness keeps chasing them. And only through breath counting, which is very important, we are able to prevent the bad karma that arises, because these 6 corrupted entities, they chase after their objects. Next slide. Okay. Practice following of breath. Okay, practicing following the breath is to stay away from the 6 corrupted entities. Now, eyes need to see a form, ears need to hear sound, taste, your touch, thoughts, and all those things. These 6 corrupted entities, our consciousness is always chasing after them. Now, through our breath counting, we are able to prevent this chasing. But through following of the breath, we can stay away from these 6 corrupted entities. Rather than going with them or being pulling, we can start keeping ourselves away from even looking at them. Okay, so through the practice of following of breath, one is able to stay away from the 6 corrupted entities. Then practice samatha vipassana is to sever, means to cut off from the 6 corrupted entities. How can you cut yourself off from the six corrupted entities? Through samatha vipassana. Practicing returning for not accepting the six corrupted entities. With practicing returning, what do? Is you do not accept the six corrupted entities. And practicing cleansing is to extinguish the six corrupted entities. Please understand, they are corrupted only and only because the mind is agitated and you don't have any control on them. Once the mind is calm and you control the chasing of the consciousness behind these objects of, you can say, the eyes, that is to look at things, the ears to hear things, the tongue to taste things, the skin to have the feeling of touch, the nose to smell things, and the mind to think. If you are able to take control by keeping the mind calm, which is possible by counting. Second, you are able to keep yourself away from these six entities from affecting you by following the breath. If you are able to sever the knots or tie between all these distracting entities so that you can keep yourself focused on what you want to do, is by samatha vipassana. If you are able to practice returning by not accepting, if they come knocking at you and you don't allow them to come, that's when you are practicing returning. All that returning is helping you not accepting any distraction whatsoever. And then finally, practicing cleansing is to completely extinguish from the six entities. Now, let's go practical. How is that possible in Sunya practice? Now, the six corrupted gates, you have to understand. We are doing this. How do we do that? We sit still. First, we have shut down all the five entities. Okay, we are basically stilling that. We are smelling. We are not particular about burning incense or we want so smell. So that is why we have no attachment to any of the sense objects. So we don't look at a picture, we don't smell something, we don't even speak something, we don't eat something, we don't listen to something, we do nothing for five entities. And the mind, we make sure that it is engaged in the reverse count, the double count, so that it does not get disturbed even with its own object, that is thoughts. How do you take care of these six entities? When you are in the first way, when you are practicing, all the bad entities that come, the karma that comes in, where you have itching here, okay, where you want to sit, but suddenly you have itching here, but you are doing 9 to 0, we say don't. Whatever happens, even if there is an itching, if you feel uncomfortable, don't move, don't scratch. That is how you take away the bad karmas, by counting. Then by following the breath. Even if there is a bad karma that is, coming and mind is getting towards that and the mind is chasing, it's pretty bad, I want to itch, but you keep following your breath. And that also you make sure that these six corrupted entities are not distracting you from your practice. Then you keep on doing that and you acquire through samatha vipassana, the practice that you're doing, a stage where you're able to, even if next time you sit, you have an itching, you just don't get bothered, you cut yourself off. And then you realize now it does not happen because there is no connection, you have cut yourself off through samatha vipassana. Then you're able to make sure that next time it comes knocking to you, asking for you that, this thought is coming or this sound is coming or there is something that is cooking, no way that you're going to allow it to come in. Because remember, returning is a practice of when the mind goes astray, you bring it back. But it also makes sure that when the consciousness is chasing and it is knocking in, you're not allowing it to come. So returning is the astray mind to be brought back, but also making sure that the objects that are coming to the mind are also not allowed to come to the mind. So even preventing that, that's also a part of returning. And holding on to the pure stage where you remain in complete calmness is also what you're doing, so that all the six corrupted entities which give rise to all your experiences and consciousness are completely extinguished. So next time you sit, and you practice and you are in that state for 1 hour, even if somebody is making loud music and nothing, it doesn't bother you. Actually, you're cut off from them and you have extinguished it. Now, how much ever music he plays, you absolutely don't hear it. Whatever somebody is doing, you don't feel it. You are completely in that state that all these 6 corrupted entities are extinguished. Okay, next slide. When the 6 corrupted entities are totally removed, then we enter into the pure dharma. When all these distractions, the objects of distraction, that we say that the sense organs and their objects, when that distraction or that chasing after the sense organs for these objects, when all that chasing stops, the mind stills. When the mind stills and there is no more chasing happening, no more distraction happening, then you enter into pure dharma. And that pure dharma is the result of no more chasing, no more agitated mind, a completely stable and still mind. Oh monks, next slide. Inhale and exhale, there are some differences. We should understand this. Exhale belongs to the actions of the 5 skandhas of the body. We studied the 5 skandhas of the body in our Heart Sutra. What are they? Roop, Vedana, Saudhnya, Sanskara and Vigyan. Roop means form, Vedana means feeling, Saudhnya means concepts, conditioning, that sanskar, and dharma. Okay, that means your understanding of the true nature of things. These 5 things, basically, the knowledge, these are skandhas. They obstruct you from actually experiencing things as it is, knowing. Not, I will say the 5th one is not dharma, it is basically knowing. So, Vigyan. So, knowing, because I know and that is why I don't want to know anything else, then you're finished. Okay, then you don't experience things as it is. So, these 5 skandhas, they prevent you from experiencing things as it is. But exhale belongs to the actions of the 5 skandhas of the body. So, when these 5 skandhas act, exhalation is a part of that. Inhalation, that is inhale, belong to the thinking of the 5 skandhas of the body. When we think of the 5 skandhas of the body, that is inhalation. So, now we are seeing how inhaling and exhaling, not only in the breath, but everything that we do in our life, it goes through 2 things, in and out. Okay, inhalation and exhalation. Okay, birth, death. Okay, now when you're saying birth, when you think about the 5 skandhas and you act with the 5 skandhas, that's exhalation. When you think about the 5 skandhas is inhalation, and when you act with the 5 skandhas, that is exhalation. Exhale also belongs to the feeling of the 5 skandhas of the body. Even the feeling of the 5 skandhas of the body is exhalation, not only action. Inhalation, inhale belongs to the mind in the 5 skandhas of the body. When you put in your mind in the 5 skandhas of the body, that is inhale. Okay, okay, now here let us understand. This is very important because you have to now expand your understanding of inhale and exhale. Okay, remember birth and death, something coming and something going. This is the nature. We study, that is dharma. Okay, we are looking at one of the entities of the dharma itself. Now, when the 5 skandhas of the body, that's roop, vedana, roop means to see, okay, any form, then vedana is feelings, saudhnya is concepts, then you have sanskara is conditioning, and the 5th is vigyan, knowing. When these 5 skandhas, when they act, it's like they are exhaling. When you think about it, it's about inhaling. When you feel about the 5 skandhas, it is about exhaling. When the mind is involved with the 5 skandhas, it is about inhaling. Okay. Now, this is so important. You have to have a wider understanding of inhalation and exhalation, the inhale and the exhale. Okay, next slide. There are differences in inhale and exhale. The practitioner differentiates it. So there is this differentiation when you inhale and exhale. Okay, when things come and they go, there is some differentiation. They are not same. A practitioner actually pays complete attention and dhyana to see the differentiation. That differentiation has to be observed. So one who is deep in the practice can see that differentiation. Otherwise, you see this as just breath, air going in, coming out. There is nothing. But no, for a dhyana practitioner, for a shunyati, he pays attention on the inhale and the exhale and sees there is a differentiation in that. Okay. Next slide. Also, inhale is not to accept the bad karma. Exhale is to extinguish the bad karma. Now here for bad karma, inhale is to not accept the bad karma and exhale is to extinguish the bad karma. Very important when it comes to bad karma. Now how did we define bad karma? Was the karma that is result of the agitated, uncontrolled mind. Okay, so when you inhale, when there is inhaling happening and you're observing the inhalation, you are making sure that you're not accepting any bad karma. So that means you're making sure that there is no act that is being done with an agitated mind. Every act is done by a calm mind. Okay, that is how you make sure that you do not accept bad karma. Exhale is to extinguish the bad karma. When you exhale, you understand that you extinguish all the bad karma. You do not let the mind get agitated. That is why no bad karma will be ever born. And even if it is born, it is exhaled out, completely extinguished. Samatha vipassana is to do away with the bad karma. When you practicing samatha and vipassana, you're doing away with the bad karma. Just keeping yourself away from that. Okay. Inhale is to accept the teaching of the cause and effect from Buddha. Buddha's teaching was that everything is preceded by a cause. If it's an effect, if something has happened, there has to be a preceding cause to it. Okay. And this effect will in turn become the preceding cause of the future effect again. So everything is a link of cause and effect. Inhale is to accept the teaching of cause and effect from Buddha. Exhale is to understand the law of cause and effect. So when you inhale, you should also realize that we accept the theory of cause and effect of the Buddha. And when you exhale, we understand the law of cause and effect. So everything, once it goes in, it should be accepted. But once it goes out, it should be that we have understood it. So, as a student, remember, when you are actually taking something, it's like inhaling. You accept something that comes from the right source. Okay? And right source is something that is coming from a calm mind. Okay? A calm mind only is the mind that gives good karma. So, when something is coming to you, you accept it. But make sure when it is going out, you have understood it. Without understanding, you do not talk also. Okay? So a listener is accepting. That's inhalation. When somebody is speaking, that means he is exhaling. Okay? So knowledge is coming in is inhalation. Inhale. Knowledge going out through words is exhaling. Okay? So, okay. Exhale is to understand the law of cause and effect. Samatha vipassana do not deviate from understanding of the law of cause and effect. So, samatha vipassana is to be on the track. If you are understanding cause and effect, then you accept it through inhale. Through exhale, you actually understood it. Samatha vipassana is to not deviate from the understanding of the law of cause and effect. Understand the practicality of this practice. If you are able to understand this, even every teaching, every learning that you're going to get, you are able to actually accept it. Then you will only apply it or speak about it if you have understood it. Don't just blabber. But with samatha vipassana, you will remain on that, you will not only, you will never deviate from your understanding, and you will always keep your focus and attention, and you will be on track always. This is what this practice is all about. It keeps you from not getting lost, but staying on the track. Next slide. O monks, if breath counting does not achieve the desired result, it is due to 3 reasons. Now, you're doing breath counting and you're not able to get the desired results. What are the desired results you're looking at? A calm mind. You're not able to get lost and all those things. If you're not able to get that, that is because of 3 reasons. One is due to the rise of bad karma. 2 is to do not follow and focus on the mind. And third is not putting up good efforts. 3 reasons. Okay, I'm sure in the comment section, Shashank is looking into it. If anybody has a question, Shashank will pull that up while I'm teaching, because we are going deeper into the practice of Sunya through the MAS study. So if any thought or question pops up, and if it comes up, definitely put that in the comments so I can answer it. Okay, now 3 reasons why the breath counting does not give us the desired result. One is due to the rise of bad karma. Remember, bad karma rises because of an agitated mind. Because the mind is agitated, we are not able to finish the count, or we are not able to do breath counting. That is one reason, that your mind is agitated. Second, I am not able to follow and focus on the mind. That's the second reason, because the mind is wavering, getting lost. So I'm not able to focus. That is the second reason I'm not able to count. And third reason is, exactly, I become very lazy. I'm not putting in the efforts to count. Suddenly mind is going somewhere and I'm getting lost there. I'm not able to pull it back. Okay, I'm not putting in the right energy and the effort that is needed to make sure that I don't miss the count, or I don't stop counting. So very, very important. 3 reasons. Inhale softly. Next slide. Okay, inhale softly when the breath is going in softly and you're observing and you know it is soft. Exhale long until no more thinking is the right dharma. So you will realize, actually, when you practice the right dharma, you'll realize that your breath has become so soft that you absolutely have to do a lot of effort even to see it going inside. And you will also realize that the exhale has become so long and it's taking a long time for the breath to come back in. You can see that. When this happens, that your breath inhale is soft and your exhale is long, you should understand you have acquired the right dharma. When the mind is thinking, and when the right dharma happens, your mind is not thinking. When the mind is thinking of something, it creates bad karma. You understand now? When the mind is thinking of something, that means it is already started to create bad karma. Bad karma is due to thinking of external action, but not due to inward focus. Why is the bad karma coming? Is because due to the thinking of external action. I want to do this, I will do that, I have $1 billion idea, after this I am going to do this. This is what the mind starts thinking, and your external action is actually causing the bad karma because your mind is thinking of an external action, but not due to inward focus. It's not because your bad karma is arising because you're focusing inward, because your mind is already going outward into the external world. So now, next slide. During breath counting, if the mind leaves the breath, breathing becomes agitated. When you're doing breath counting and the mind leaves the breath, your attention is gone out. You've lost your focus on the breath and the mind is started to go somewhere. Breathing becomes agitated. Suddenly you see that your breathing will become agitated. As soon as we say the reins of the horses are let loose, they start going here and there. So similarly, when your attention and focus on the breath is lost, your breathing gets disturbed. And you can see that. If the mind is focused on breathing, okay, it becomes soft. As soon as your mind is focused on the breathing, it becomes soft. So in another way, if I say, as the breathing becomes soft, your mind is focused. If your breathing becomes agitated, fast and moving, your mind is actually lost. When the mind is disturbed, the breathing is agitated. When the mind is calm, the breathing is soft. Very clear. Thinking of many matters makes the breathing agitated. When you're thinking of many things, your breathing is agitated. Detaching from all makes the breathing soft. How does the breathing become soft? When I'm only focused on watching the breath, it gets soft. When I'm thinking of many things and doing one thing, my breathing becomes agitated. Next slide. Breath count not reaching 10 and getting confused. When I'm doing my breath count, 9 to 0 or 29 to 0, I'm not able to reach the target. Or I'm doing 1 to 10, the loop, but I'm not able to do that. That means my mind is getting confused. Having to recount is considered as an agitated mind. When you have to bring your mind back and recount again, that is because your mind is agitated. It's okay. You have to do that because at least you know that your mind is agitated. Can count to 10 is soft breathing. Okay, you are able to count to 10 without getting distracted. 9 to 0, 29 to 0, 99 to 0, 1 to 10, you are able to do that. That is called soft breathing. Why is it so? When you reach 10 counts, no need to extend the count. Okay, in our second belt, orange belt, we do the double count, we do the 10 count. And because our mind is able to do the 10 counts, we don't do to extend the count. After that, we just repeat the count to 10 and do not extend it to 11. That's because we know that we are able to count and we are just maintaining that stillness, that focus. You don't need to go to 11, 12 and all those things. Sometimes, next slide. Okay, sometimes one feels the breathing become agitated. Why is it so? Actually, when you're practicing and if your mind is agitated, you can actually feel that with your breathing. And when your breathing becomes agitated, you should know why. So why is it so? Because breathing does not tone down. Breathing has not toned down. That is why it is agitated. Because the mind is agitated, the breathing is agitated. And breathing does not tone down because the mind is agitated. When the breathing is agitated, one knows it. Because when the mind is agitated, one doesn't know. But when the breathing is agitated, we know that the breathing is agitated. At that point, you should also know that the mind is agitated. When the breathing is soft, one knows it is soft. When actually somebody is breathing softly, one knows that he is breathing softly. That means he knows that the mind is calm and still. When the mind is focused on the breathing, it knows it is agitated or soft. So when the mind is focused on the breathing, we are watching the breathing, we can know the breathing is agitated or soft because it watches itself through the breathing. The mind also knows that whether it is agitated or soft. Okay, mind is just looking into the mirror of the breathing, and through the breathing it knows what state it is in. This is self-realization. So you don't need somebody else to tell you or make you realize what is the state of your mind. Watch your breath. Agitated mind. Soft breath, stable and calm mind. You can analyze it yourself. That is self-realization. If the mind does not know the breathing is agitated or soft, this is not self-realization. If you only don't know that your breathing, how it is, whether it is agitated or soft, then forget you even having that realization. What is your state of your mind? Because one who can see the mind in its state, agitated state or calm state, we call such a person a self-realized person who actually can see his mind. And one who can see his mind in the different states, an agitated state and a calm state, can make sure that agitated mind does not produce the bad karma. And the calm state of mind remains focused on the duty and does all what it needs to do. So here, the one who can see that state of the mind, the agitated mind and the calm state of the mind, through observing the breath and looking at the breath as agitated or soft, is the person we call the self-realized person. And that is what this chapter is concluding here. And with this, we know that our journey of Sunya brings us to the journey of self-realization, where we can see our mind through our breath. And observing the breath, all the techniques that we are teaching, the 6 gates that you're learning, the 6 gate of counting the breath, the following of the breath, the samatha, the vipassana, the returning, and holding on to the pure dharma. These 6 gates actually are the journey into knowing yourself, self-realization. And this is a process. It has to be followed in the same way. Remember, the chapter 3 began, "O monks, there is a sure way," a Buddha assuring you there is a way to calm down the mind. And it all begins with counting, because only a calm mind is free of suffering. And only a calm mind that is free of suffering without being attached to anything can achieve the state of samadhi and also achieve nirvana, that is freedom from all kind of suffering. So that brings us to the end of chapter 3, a pretty interesting chapter where you understood the importance of counting of the breath, following of the breath, samatha, vipassana. You understood what is returning, and you also realized how to stay focused and attentive in that stage of pure dharma. Okay, and that were the 6 gates that we introduced you to. These 6 gates are going to be cultivated, opening up like the lotus flower blooms, all one after the other. The outer petals first, and then along with that, in synchronicity, all the other petals also following it. A choreographed way of self-realization. And you will see yourself blossoming up, yourself actually becoming a self-realized person, because at the end, you can observe your breath. With your breath, you know that the mind is agitated or calm. And you know that an agitated mind can actually make bad karmas. Bad karmas again will lead to bad karmas. Bad karmas will again lead to more bad karmas. And with counting, with calming the mind, I am able to free myself from all the bad karmas. My bad karmas get washed away, and no more bad karmas can give me bad results. Only and only my good deeds, my right virtuous acts will give me all the good karma to me. So we know that this practice is so important, even to wash away whatever has happened in the past. So this is the process of deconditioning, washing yourself off of all the past deeds. So this practice is very much important. So now you understand how practical, how easy, how achievable this Shunya practice is for us to make sure that we achieve the pure state of self-realization. So we open the floor for any questions, if any. If not, we will, any questions? You can check. If no questions, then as I summarize now, that it's a practice of the breath counting and the opening of the 6 gates. Okay, so we will call it a day. Hope you all understood the chapter 3. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask that in the next chapter also. So till then, thank you so much and see you again. Namaste.